people who used that opportunity, they made a lot of money if they sold, or they have much more capital at the moment. And I would say in most cases, because of the price differences and rental market growing, the tenants, if the property is tenanted, the tenants even cover all the payments that are due to EMAR.
If you wanted a 2080 payment plan specifically to only put in 20% of your money and try and sell on handover, you need to make sure that the resale potential is actually there at the end of the day, right?
Welcome to Prop AI podcast. This is our first edition, and we are going to discuss off-plan and the history of it and why is it so popular and making major part of the Dubai real estate market. My name is AJ Aurelius, and this is my colleague Kaiser. We are from Prop AI advisory. Welcome.
Thank you. So, shall we start by discussing the benefits as holistically of off-plan?
Maybe we can start from some numbers.
Sure.
Yeah, so off-plan currently or recently in the market was doing roughly 60 to 70% of all the sales transactions. And people have very different opinions about it. There are a lot of rumors about oversupply.
Exactly.
There are a lot of rumors about undersupply. So everyone has its own opinion. But today I think we're going to talk a little bit in details, not going to predict the future.
Of course.
But why is it so popular and what are the benefits, right?
Correct.
All right.
Awesome.
So the first thing, what do we want to discuss?
Let's start with cash flow management with off-plan.
All right. What do you mean by that?
Cash flow management, if you're to buy a ready property, for example, you either need to go for a mortgage or you need cash up front. With off-plan, we can leverage payment plans. And currently in Dubai, we're seeing a massive range of payment plans from 2080 and some 9010, right? So it's a massive range. They all have their own individual advantages. So let's discuss how we can sort of use this based on the criteria of each buyer, perhaps.
Yeah. So first question, should buyer take into consideration the payment plan at all?
Absolutely.
Why?
The payment plan is the basis of the strategy thereafter.
Okay, so if you have 60-40, I think this is the
Quite
most
standard,
common. Yeah, the most common in the market. What advantages do you get and what disadvantages do you get against 30-70 or 80-20?
Well, as a baseline, looking at a 60-40, you have to look at the developers which offer this kind of payment plan. Usually developers that offer 60-40 are probably more established because they're trying to sort of sieve out certain types of buyers to ensure that you do at least have some upfront cash before the handover payment. Whereas on the other side, looking at 30-70, this opens up the pool of buyers much more. But at the same time, then we look at 30-70 payment plans, for example. However, having a payment plan like this does open up risk overall because there's likely to be much more cancellations because the people that are attracted by the marketing tactic of a 30-70 likely may actually pull out. So we have to consider both sides from a marketing perspective, from the actual product to the developer that's offering all of these.
Yeah, and why do we get 80-20 or even there are 90-10 payment plans? Why did this happen?
You tell me.
My thinking and my understanding is that the major developers are using payment plan to regulate the market.
I agree, yeah.
When the market was not as active as now, let's say 2019, you could get a 25 to 75% payment plan from EMAR. And
exactly.
Even with a post-handover payment plan, we still have those units in the market where people purchased in 2019 from EMAR and still are paying off the property even though they got it in 2022, 2023. And these units are in very good locations. And people who used that opportunity, they made a lot of money if they sold, or they have much more capital at the moment. And I would say in most cases, because of the price differences and rental market growing, the tenants, if the property is tenanted, the tenants even cover all the payments that are due to
For
Emaar.
sure, yeah.
So this was an amazing opportunity, but it was only in the market when it was going down, because from 2014 to 2020, the market was slowly going down as general number.
So would you say it's impossible to find a payment plan like a 2080 today, considering the market is good?
2080, it's possible already, but let's say a year ago, it was close to impossible. 2080 was used by small developers that have very close handover date. So basically, they are preparing that property for mortgage buyers, so they can mortgage the whole 80%. Now, since we have a lot of new supply and a lot of new developers coming in the market and competing with each other, there are decent developers, or even high quality developers, I would say, for the product, for the area as comparative to where they are building. They are already offering 20 to 80 payment plan, which was not seen for a long time. Would you recommend to buy 2080 to your clients?
I think yes. It definitely depends on the value proposition of the product as a whole. If you see a 2080 payment plan product, but the developer, maybe it's their first project, it's a bit scarier to look into. However, if you have some background knowledge of anything they've previously developed, which plot they're looking at, which area as a whole, you can also take comparisons to surrounding projects which may be handing over at the same time. Why do I say this? Is we can leverage this payment plan for that client. For example, if you wanted a 2080 payment plan specifically to only put in 20% of your money and try and sell on handover, you need to make sure that the resale potential is actually there at the end of the day, right? If you buy a property for 1.8 million and you're likely to sell it at 1.8 million, then maybe it's not actually worth looking at this payment plan at the end of the day. So how can we identify whether something is good or not? Is you look at the infrastructure coming to a specific area to see if there's going to be increased confluence between the construction and handover dates, as well as the handing over of similarly priced and similar finishing sort of products. Yeah, that's what I would say.
All right. So let's talk numbers.
Yeah.
You mentioned 1.8 million.
Yes.
Right. So 20% of it is what? 360.
Correct.
Plus you need to pay 4% DOD and some admin fee. Let's say 400. Just
sure.
The numbers, the numbers would be easier. So you are putting 400,000. You wait for 1.5, 2 years, because usually these payment plans are for the developments that have comparatively soon handover date.
Yeah, short development time for sure.
Yeah. So after a year or 1.5 years, if the price increase only 10%, which is recent market average in the market, and potentially, let's say this is reasonable, safe scenario to bet on.
Sure.
What is the profit for the investor if he is willing to resell it on handover?
Sure. So if we take the 10% of 1.8 million, this net figure is 180,000, right?
Yeah.
But 180,000 on your initial equity into the property of 400,000 is
close to 50%.
We should have the number though.
Yeah, but it's not exact science when we are predicting the future. So let's say it's close to 50%.
Yeah.
In some cases, we had number at 55%. In some cases, we had a number of 43, 42%. And this is quite realistic expectation.
Absolutely, yeah.
At the same time, since the handover date is quite soon, I believe the risk is not as big as putting 20% down for a property that will be handed over in 2030.
I agree.
Because even though we all believe that the buy will be growing and we believe the vision, anything can happen.
This is true, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's much easier to predict the numbers after 1 year than after 4 or 5 years. But at the same time, if the unit will be good, the market will be good, and the area will develop, and you have 5x leverage for 5 years, that would be insane.
Of course.
That's easily over 100%. And
it's the dream scenario.
Yeah, it's a dream scenario. Okay, so this sounds very promising. At the same time, what are the risks? What's happening if we see that this unit is not as liquid as we expect?
Well, this is absolutely a risk. We can try and mitigate this risk before purchasing in our own independent research. For example, if you're looking at buying a studio in JVC, for example, you may find a 20/80 or 30/70 payment plan, which would make you think that this is a strategy that can be used, right? However, before actually getting to the point of investment, you have to look at the bigger picture in terms of overall supply within the area, overall demand for a premium on certain unit types as well. So there's definitely variables to consider, which you can definitely use to mitigate your risk before actually committing.
Okay. And another thing that we always tell, at least me personally, I always tell to my clients, even if you think of, as it's called, flipping, you should consider if you will be able to buy out property in full.
Correct. 100%. Yeah.
All the time.
100%. Yeah.
Because again, even though we have a lot of numbers,
correct,
we cannot predict the future very, very accurately with 100% certainty.
For sure.
So then if we have 20 to 80 payment plan, that 80%, what options do we have?
Well, you can certainly mortgage the handover.
Yeah. So there are two options.
Either buy out
with your own money, or you can use mortgage. Let's say, to be safe, if you are trying to be smart and use this higher risk strategy, this strategy can give you big benefits with high return on equity. But at the same time, you always have to think about what will happen if I cannot sell. Even if the unit is liquid, even if the area is growing and the product is delivered on time as you planned, there just might be some issues with the sale process. Maybe your agent has an issue, or maybe just the market shifted from that area to somewhere very close that we didn't expect.
Correct.
Or some other.
There's always variables that we'll never be able to determine for sure.
Yeah.
But a philosophy I believe both of us agree in is, at the end of the day, at least we ensure that the property is one that is a good property, that will not, for example, be completely worthless in 3 to 5 years, that will completely depreciate in something like this, for example. So this is why certain aspects like the developer is very paramount, the certain unit type that you buy, looking for unit composition density within certain buildings. You don't want a studio in a building with 1,000 studios.
Yeah.
Maybe you can shed light as to why you might not want that actually.
It's quite obvious, but a lot of people just do not look to the numbers. When you have a building of 1,000 units and you have 900 units of them as a studio, when the handover comes, you have 900 units that are competing for the same clientele, for both buyers and tenants. So when you have 900 units competing for the same unit that is identical, the only thing that is different, only maybe some units are on a higher floor, having better view, with longer waiting time on elevator.
Yeah.
Maybe some units have lower floors and faster access or easier access. The view might not be as great as the higher view, but all of those units have their own pros and cons. But in general, they are identical.
Would you say this variance in view and floor is enough in a scenario like this, where there is 900 studios?
It's not enough.
It's not enough?
It's not enough because you have limited amount of people who are willing to move in, and they will all have very wide variety of choices. So you are left with the single strategy, lower the price. This is the main thing that all investors want to this is the main thing that all investors want not to have, let's say. When I'm talking to my buyer, I always ask him to think, is your future client, which is tenant or buyer, able to put a premium on your unit? This is first, ability to pay more money for the same unit. Second, is he willing to? Is this property needed, necessary, and why? When you understand why people would be willing to enter to your property, to buy it from you, or to become your tenant, I think this will become much easier to decide.
And what are the attributes in which a unit will demand a premium, for example? What do we look out for?
This is a very wide question to answer, because we can discuss townhouses, we can discuss villas, we can discuss apartments. But generally, if we want to create a single rule, easy to use rule, I think your buyer should have money.
Ideally.
Yeah. And this means that you should target the higher quality properties, better locations, maybe bigger size, not necessarily, but in many cases, people want to have bigger properties. And at the moment, most off-plan units, they are getting smaller and smaller.
100% agree, yeah.
So if you get a bigger unit, you might have a competitive advantage, which might translate to more liquidity and more demand, but it doesn't always translate to more profit, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's why the developers are making the units smaller and smaller, because they are calculating by square foot price. Correct, how much does it cost for them to build, and how much does it cost for them to sell?
Yeah.
But the buyer is usually buying not a square foot, but the whole package.
The product as a whole.
Yes. So when we have, let's say, one bedroom of 500 square foot, one bedroom 600 square foot, and one bedroom 900 square foot, let's say. So 500 and 600 square foot will be very similar. At the same time, maybe 500 square foot is already the minimum number or minimum size of the unit that actually can be usable. If you go somewhere in the middle, let's say 650 square foot, and from 600 to 800, I believe most of these units, they have the same function. They have the same usability, meaning they have similar size living room, similar size kitchen, similar size washrooms and bathrooms. And again, it depends on the layout then.
100%.
Some units have two bathrooms, some units have only single bathroom. Many people prefer two bathrooms in this market. Some people that are newcomers to the market and they are not used to two bathrooms, they don't really care. So there are a lot of variables here to decide. But getting back to my first thought is 600 and 900 square foot, people are generally buying the same unit. So they are expecting some, basically they have a set total amount as a budget for the unit.
Yes.
And this is what they're trying to do. So if you purchased a smaller unit and you can sell for the same price as bigger unit, you have bigger profit.
Correct.
Again, this is not always the case. So
For sure.
there are a lot of variabilities.
Let's pivot to the increased, or perhaps alleged increased. Is it guaranteed that every off-plan project, simply because you're buying the entry price of perhaps, let's say, a new phase within an area, does this guarantee that our capital gains are going to be higher than if you were to invest in a ready property in the same area?
Oh, definitely not.
Why is that?
Nothing is guaranteed in the market. But we have some tendencies.
Okay.
And there are some strategies that are very widely used. And one of them, when we are talking about the timing, when we are entering the product, the project and the area, if the area is a master plan, there is very, very high demand for the first phases because they are setting the lowest entry price for the market for that area.
Yeah.
And when we have a master community, usually in most cases, the developer is big and the developer has high impact on price.
Yeah, 100%.
So
yeah.
every time when the developer is launching a new phase, this is the reason why they are launching the area in phases, so they can change the pricing, and they help their initial investors who trusted them and who put the money in the beginning to gain their capital appreciation. So let's say we have a new development of 10 clusters.
Okay.
Let's say this is a townhouse community of 10 clusters. The first cluster will be sold at, let's say, amount X. The second cluster will be sold plus 5%, plus 10%. And the last cluster will be double the price.
Yeah.
Then you need to think, what is your strategy? What is your purpose of purchase? And when actually you should enter the community. Because when you are entering in the first phase, you have the highest potential for market appreciation, for the price appreciation of the unit.
Yeah.
At the same time, people do not consider the timing.
How do you mean by that?
Because when you are buying in the first phase of the community, many people expect the highest appreciation, which is correct, but many people do not think about the timing.
Okay.
Not always the first phase will be the highest price on the handover. There are a few reasons. Because when the first phase will be handing over, there will be still a lot of construction around. And usually the infrastructure, social infrastructure, and restaurants, schools, clinics, retail, they are opening somewhere in the middle. So when you have this unit and no infrastructure, your tenant will not be willing to pay as high as for the tenant who's coming for the third or fourth phase when the infrastructure is there.
Okay.
So when we are looking in the big picture, we always have to think about the timing, when we are entering and when we want to exit. And what is our exit plan? Is it just sale on handover? Is it rental for a few years and sale on, I don't know, middle of the community? Or even you are waiting till the end, till the last handover is coming and waiting for the maximum appreciation? Because you have the first wave of appreciation during the construction. Then you have the second wave of appreciation when the retail and all the social infrastructure is established. And you have the third wave of appreciation when the community is completed. And all these phases have very different timings to reach the peak of appreciation. And all these phases, they have very different amount or percentage, how much do they appreciate. So I think timing is very oftenly overlooked because many people are saying buy on the first phase, you'll get the biggest appreciation, but
not always.
Not always. Let's say it like this. Think about when do you want to exit, and then it might be a very good strategy. Sometimes it might even be a better strategy if you are a shorter term investor to buy off-plan resale from somebody and wait much shorter period of time to get the same appreciation as the one who purchased on the launch of the phase, on launch of the community. So there are many different strategies for the same product, for the same community, and let's wrap up. What did we discuss today?
So overall, we looked at different payment plans, how you can leverage a payment plan. Also touched on the history of payment plans. Why are we seeing a slight variance, and how it is really tied to overall real estate performance in the economy. as well as cash flow management, how we can actually use payment plans for cash flow management. Is it right for every buyer? Can you make it right for every buyer at the same time also? As well as, finally, we just touched on, does purchasing into off-plan actually guarantee you increased capital, as well as specifically on how phases work with an off-plan as well?
The timing is everything, because if you purchase something in 2014 in some bad community from bad developer, we know the cases when people purchased a 2-bedroom apartment in 2014 for 1.4 million, and in 2022 they sold for less than 600,000. So they waited for almost 10 years just to exit the property with 50% of loss. And if we calculate in inflation rate, it's even worse.
Oh, for sure.
And people actually who purchased that property in 2022, and if they are willing to sell it now, they made 100%, because now, because of the market, the prices came back to somewhere to 2014 level. So yeah, timing is everything, just like in our podcast. Thank you for watching. Ask us questions in the comment, and let's meet on the next one.